Shandemanium Shadow Poo!
Hello, welcome to the Bronze Age Monsters Shadow Show. This is a show we do each and every other week for our patron members, where we, this season, have been going through the Ulysses Bloodstone Saga that we have found mostly in Rampaging Hulk. We still talk about movies that are connected to our main show, where we are talking about the Creature Commandos. Matt has done monster-themed movies. This week we're going to be talking about 1958's The Vampire. So
house pick.
So we'll be
pack
talking
member
about
pick.
That was a pack member pick. Who picked that?
Mark Evans.
Was it Mark? Yeah, Mark did. Yeah, because he was watching. He says he owns it, and it was cool. I'm excited to talk to you about that. So I don't know if we have any other business, do we?
We've been threatening a Matt's Musings. My Andy Rooney-esque segment. That's just a short transitional piece.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
I love it.
Let's Bloodstone first, because we're so close to the end.
We're so close. Okay, so we are going to be talking about Ulysses Bloodstone as he appeared in the Rampaging Hulk 6. And the title of our story is Conspiracy Ascendant. Interestingly, so is this the second time we got that pinup?
It's like the third or fourth time.
Oh my God, we get that pinup. So, I mean, it's cool. I like it. It's cool as shit, but,
yeah,
it's fine. Yeah.
Before you dive in properly, though, Jacob, so this is issue 6 of the Hulk, like you said, Rampaging Hulk, and Bloodstone's last mortal appearance, or immortal appearance, is 8. He does not appear in the next issue. That's actually Gerber. I forgot who the artist is.
Starlin.
That's right.
That's Gerber Starlin Man-Thing.
So how do you parse that? Does that to you mean that they were already planning on, let's get a Moon Knight or a Man-Thing or something in here, like Bloodstone's not working out? Or how did you take that?
Honestly, every time I try to figure out their publishing schedule, their
rationale,
just plan in general, their rationale for anything on this title, I cannot figure it out. So, I mean, obviously, Bloodstone is not going to work out. And, last appearance is in Rampaging Hulk 8. So, yeah, maybe they are. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to read the issue 7 with the Man-Thing story.
So do I. I was wondering if that should be like a bonus thing or something we do. Maybe not a full,
could be fun.
Maybe not a full read through review like we do here, but just kind of a 10-minute, like, here's what I thought of it. I mean, it's fucking Gerber and Starlin. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. No, it sounds awesome. So
but just like a quickie review. Like, honestly, quickie, like set a timer, make ourselves actually be time aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that would be awesome. But, yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? I mean, they're just, I don't know. Yeah, maybe Man-Thing was a tryout.
So I would guess that we've had some rotating artists the last couple installments of the story. So I'm wondering if it was deadlines, that people not hitting deadlines, and somebody may be realizing, like, look, we can't seem to get a solid art team on here. Maybe we should just consider this being a backup that rotates instead of a fixed backup. And because I think there's Man-Thing, then Bloodstone story ends, and I think that Moon Knight story starts. That's right, like pretty much soon after.
I think Moon Knight starts in 9, right?
Like 9 or 10, yeah. It's like really fast. It's an amazing story with Sienkiewicz aping Neil Adams' art. Folks, if you haven't read that story, it's so good.
Love it. It's so awesome.
Yeah, but so I think that, I don't know. So I didn't realize until like a couple episodes ago that there actually was fan mail, but it's not frequently scanned and uploaded online. So we've been missing letters from people responding to this storyline that maybe we could talk about. Maybe I'll pick a few choice ones out, and we'll kind of look at them together and talk about it before we do the final Ulysses thing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
They're kind of hard to find and inconsistently available online. So, but yeah, I'm just curious. I don't think that people who love the Hulk was on TV at this point? Was this the reason why this magazine exists? Is that right?
We went through this before.
Or was it 78?
I can't remember.
It started in 78. I think this might be pre-TV series, but
I
just
think it's
feel like
pre-TV series.
yeah, I just feel like people aren't really responding to this book, and yeah, we've been on a roller coaster ride about it ourselves. About each installment seems to be
Yep.
a different vibe. Just lurching is starting and just like a roller coaster run by a meth head. Like it's a strange story.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah. So we're in the penultimate installment of the saga here, folks. So I hope you're all buckled up. We do get quite a fun reveal here. If you're just experiencing this through us reading this story with you, we have quite a reveal here at the end that I'm very excited to talk about, that I accidentally spoiled for myself when I was getting scans of this to compile for this venture we've been on this whole season.
Yeah, so we knew this was coming. I mean, I was glad you let me know too. So
yeah, I couldn't keep that from you. You're my friend.
No. Yes, I appreciate it. So yeah, like you said, the title of the story is Conspiracy Ascendant, and we have a different art team. So we have John Warner and Alan Kupperberg and Sonny Trinidad. So Alan Kupperberg, I think we have had him before. I did some looking up, and we talked a little bit before, but yeah, I think we had him third season. He was part of Neil Adams Continuity Studios. It was funny. I think his first like unofficial credit was on Detective Comics 420. And it was not the porthole illustration, but it was one of like because Detective, I think it's a square bound, or it's not 100-pager, but it's a giant size type issue. Mm-hmm. So it has the different stories on it. And there was a little like kind of, porthole just of Batman's head. And I guess Alan Kupperberg drew that. Neil Adams inked it. And somehow that made it on.
So that's his first published work.
That's his first, and that's in the early 70s. I think it's 72. But yeah, he worked for Marvel mostly in the 70s. And, on The Odd Thing, he did some work on some strips with Marv Wolfman. He did the Howard the Duck comic strip. He, he worked off and on in the 70s. We know him more from his 80s work. He does the one with the new Hobgoblin, right? He does that, and then he does the art for the Spectacular Spider-Man Annual 7, which is the marriage of Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson.
Okay. I definitely associate him with Spider-Man, like from my youth.
Definitely, from both of our youths, that's where we would first think of him as. But yeah, really cool guy. He did. He also did. This is how I remember that we had done him before. Was that he did work for the like Marvel, like corporation comics line. He did like something. Marvel did like a Campbell Soup something, and
really?
like a Department of Defense. And so he's the artist on those two. Yeah, it was like creating promo comics for like corporations. And not the Department of Department of Energy. So yeah, I want to see those. I want all of those.
Yeah. Interesting. Did he always work with Marvel? Did he ever do any DC stuff? I feel like he did.
Yeah, he did some DC stuff too. Yeah. I mean, but he was part of continuity, so he mainly just, he was part of the original, the Krusty Bunkers, I think was the original art team there.
Krusty Socks.
So yeah, no, he did he did a lot of cool stuff. He died pretty young. I think he was 59, died of lymphoma cancer. But yeah, he had a really, really great career, did really cool stuff. And so he's our penciler on this, and we get familiar face Sonny Trinidad as our inker. But this does not look like a normal Sonny Trinidad type issue.
So like I feel like they did a really good job in this run of like, barring the last story we did, of like really kind of honoring the look and feel of the book art wise. Like I feel like everyone kind of picked up the ball Rudy dropped when he had to do other stuff, and like honored it. Like just looking at this before he described this page here, just like looking at Ulysses, like the shading on his thighs and like near his on his calves, near his boots, like there was a style guide for Ulysses Bloodstone and the book itself inside of Rampaging Hulk, and it was largely honored, which I think is cool.
I think it's really cool. Yeah, it's a great it's a great style. And this is different. I don't know if you would call it more, it's like more, like slightly more photorealistic, but also I don't know. It was just more defined maybe.
It's yes, it's in this weird, for my like mental space, it's between like comic book standard house style and like Doc Savage cover painting, like whatever the middle ground is between those two things. Like you're saying, it's more photorealistic, like more like modeling, but yeah, but definitely not like Alex Ross level of like realism or anything. But it definitely feels like it's
No,
more
no.
grounded, which might be like a magazine thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a cool style. It works for the most part. Next to our title, Conspiracy Ascended, there's a little asterisk, and it right below it, it says it may not at present appear a very accurate title, but stick around. So yeah, the opening page is we get Bloodstone, yeah, hammering his way out of the Death Suite, right? Is that where
Yeah.
we had him last time?
Is he
Yeah.
punching his way
Okay.
into the conspiracy suite?
I think he is, yes. So he's punching his way in there. And yeah, there's members of the conspiracy who say, Bloodstone, how did he find us? And Bloodstone's thinking that he knew the conspiracy had been monitoring him in that special death suite. And but it was a simple matter for his hunter senses to track the energy impulses back to this control room at the suite above. Yeah, there's a lot of energy in this one.
Yeah, there is.
I
That's
noticed.
a new
There's
power,
just
so I'm
an
drinking for that.
I'm drinking to that too. Yeah, no, there's a lot of just this is a high energy episode of Bloodstone.
This felt to me like the splash very like a Kirby homage kind of thing, like just like the smoked hams for fists and like just the very
Yeah.
dynamic punching action. Like it just felt like it was an homage to 60s comics.
Well, yeah, his fist is, twice as big as his face. And, so
Even allowing
it's yeah.
for distance and depth, right?
Yeah, even allowing for all that, it's still enormous. You're right. You're right. It's a ham.
And we have that the Kirby circuitry in the background, which is again another
Mm-hmm.
homage to Kirby's 60s work. So yeah, it's very throwbacky for me in a good way. But
Definitely.
see, on the next page, we get this great, huge panel. It's like half the page of the conspiracy guys. And these are guys we saw last time that had like the no irises and no pupils. They just had the white eyes and were just like, blah, 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 like hive minding. I love that stuff. But we just see that from the backs of their legs, and they're saying, "Don't panic. If we stand together, the conspiracy stands behind us." And every time I read this, I've read this like 3 times now. It feels like they're holding hands, like ring around the rosy, but they're not. They're just like clenching their fists and like bracing themselves to make a wall, like Red Rover against him. But it looks like they're all holding hands to prepare for him. So yeah, another guy says the conspiracy is of one mind, and the one mind is power. And so Bloodstone, like his chest gem is just glowing brightly. He's like, I can sense it. Some sort of power surge has suddenly filled the room. And yeah, they're acting as empathic batteries, he realizes. And the one in the middle is the focus. And sure enough, we see this cool shot in the middle of like them, just like all the profiles. And they all have that weird, it's like they all kind of samey, like in a weird cloney sense. And one has an energy explosion coming out of his forehead. So he, sure enough, is the focus. And so, yeah, Bloodstone is keying in on him, and like the guy's blasting him with laser like energy. Like you said, this is energy centric. This whole outgoing here. But I love that bottom left panel of him like looking all crazed.
He does look crazed. I like that because he's realizing, he says they're acting as empathic batteries. So yeah, that's obviously very disturbing to Ulysses.
Yeah.
But we go on. So yeah, next page, as he is getting blasted with this energy. And then, he has time to just be like, where does it originate? Where does the conspiracy originate? I like, he's like, but he reminds us, he's like, or does it all come from Exomind, the collective ego conscious of the original blood gem? Remember how cool that was?
So cool.
Oh, I loved it. And so, but then, yeah, he's, the energy is increasing. But then he says, it's not physical energy as it feels. It's attacking me within, climbing the base of my brain, crushing me internally. And so then he realizes, it's a war of wills. And that row, I mean, the rest of the art on this page is amazing, that second half, but there's the row, the 4 panels. It's a war of wills, my one perfect spinal light focused against the combined mind force of the conspiracy. And that third panel is just rad. His his he's getting the sizzle, the triangle coming into his head. And he's like, theirs is an uncontrolled energy of chaos. Mine the ordered light of the astral ether. And yeah, we see to the main guy, who it looks that one of Bloodstone and the one of the conspiracy guy shooting the energy out of his eyes look rad.
That reminds me of like all like the cool like Hong Kong like wizard, like the magic practitioner movies where like they're shooting beams, which is like, there's an homage to that in Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. Like you just like you're doing your thing and like your color beam is going and blasting and it's just like this standstill. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. That bottom panel also is great. It's that profile of him just shooting out. It says, my will is greater than the sum of these men who focus the conspiracy's energies.
So one of the things we've had an issue with kind of is the stops and starts, the fits and starts of like Warner giving out cool information. So we'll have like the coolest story ever, and then we'll have some goofy danger room thing, and it just feels like it's hot and cold. That's been like frustrating for us. And like this is another example of that to me, where it's like spinal astral ether and like all, just dropping these terms. And I love when people drop terms and you have to learn stuff, right? I love The Wire. I love that you're just dropped in the middle of Baltimore and you have to just figure out who's who and who has power and all the names. Like I love it, but like when it's just inconsistently seeded and just kind of given out, it feels to me like it's just kind of an afterthought. So this feels more to me like it's just kind of like him just making lore to make it feel rich without like having earned it or like built it into the world. So
well,
I love it,
I'm
but
really
I'm frustrated.
Curious. I know it's very frustrating, and it's not what we expected from Warner at all. Like reading this and realizing, like when we started this out, we're like, oh yeah, Warner only got this amount of time. I'm sure he had like 30 issues planned, and he had this giant, lore and world and stuff. And now I'm like, I don't know. Like I doubt that, and I'm also just like, what was going on in John Warner's life right now? Is he okay? Is he getting divorced? Is he? Because something's not right.
As a dad, some of this very much feels like Dad tell me a story, and you're like, and then the spinal energy shot out, and then the ether power.
Yep.
Like it's just kind of like, you're still awake? Fuck. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Then there was the pentagonal light and the, I don't know.
Exomind. Yeah. Exomind. Let me tell you a story, child, about the Exomind.
Yes. Like there are times when I definitely fell asleep lying next to Athena in her bed telling her a story that I was making up, where it's like I woke up an hour later like, and she's just like playing with, teddy bear, like acting out some scene. And I'm like, okay, that didn't work. I put myself to sleep. So yeah, that last panel is so cool with him like shooting that beam out. That should have been a shirt maybe, but on the next page we see like he says, your chain is broken as the conspiracy will be broken, and he blasts that center conspiracy guy into some of that Kirby machinery. Baroom. And they say, no, we can't let him stop us if the master finds out we failed. And then I love this panel. He picks up two of the conspiracy guys and he just goes chonk and just bonks their heads together over his head. He's like, and who is this master? And he's just fucking these guys up, throwing them into the machinery. What manner of inhuman demon is he that would foolishly fear him more than Bloodstone? So like, he's just kind of saying like, you guys should be scared of me, not this guy. And then we see, surprise, surprise, in the last panel of this page, Sam has arrived from Marseille, just popped in, which
Nope.
It wasn't established that those were like not consistent timelines when we saw her at brunch with Domino. Like they didn't say like 2 days ago, which you would have.
They didn't. So honestly, when I reached this panel, I was just like, fuck, did I miss an issue? And I went back and I was like, oh, I'm reading the wrong issue. I'm like, nope, this is the right issue.
Actually, when I saw that, I thought, oh, I bet Jacob thought it was Clary Winters.
I did think it was Claire. I think female in a comic now as Clary Winters. I've showed my hand. That's my tell. It's what my kink is, I guess.
So yeah. So Brad looks amazing, by the way. Very hunky. Like again, he's more of that Charlton Heston version of. Sometimes he looks kind of cute and pretty boy. Here he's looking very rugged and handsome and cool, Charlton Heston style. And he's like, "Hey, you got back just in time to catch the action." And from the sounds of it down the hall, I'd say there's plenty. She's like, "What's been going on, Brad?" Well, we all know, but Sam needs to be caught up.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
I like this page though. Like I love that second panel where like there's a guy in the foreground just like holding his like head that got busted like together, like or not yet. Sorry, a different dude. The dude got thrown into the panel, like just like ugh. Like the perspective,
like,
some of the compositions here and the choices they made, the art team, great.
It is, and I love him lifting up and knocking the two guys' coconuts together. Yeah, Chowderhead. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was great. And so, next page picks up outside the corridor. And, Clary had been like, what's going on? He's like, beats me, Sam. I'm so used to this sort of thing with Bloodstone. It doesn't faze me anymore. He's trying to impress her there. He's just like, yeah, whatever. This is a normal day for me. Yeah, whatever.
A day that ends in Y.
Yeah. He's like, I just knew I heard a huge explosion and got to Bloodstone's rooms just in time to see him dash up to this floor. So he goes up there, and we suddenly see the desk attendant. Have we figured it out yet, Matt? Have we figured it out?
Nope.
Okay.
Proudly ignorant.
The check-in man. I'm just gonna call him the check-in man from now on. And of course, he's still there to give him the business. You certainly do, Mr. Carter. You and that ruffian you checked in with. I should have never let you in here. My lobby is filled with police trying to calm our guests. Then he looks like more sad on the next panel. There are firemen tromping through the floor below where your friend's suite was. And then, bam, they crash through the wall. The guy's like, oh my God, I think I'm going to be sick. I just love that he's back. He's back just to rail against our heroes, just being like, they're making too much noise and destroying the suite.
I think he needed to come back though, for dramatic closure, right? It's like the other shoe dropping type of thing. But that bottom panel of him, in profile, he almost looks like Neil Adams' Joker or something.
He does a little bit, yeah.
But I love that top row so as Brad's explaining to Sam what's going on, and it says ding as the elevator arrives on the floor. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's echoing graphically the third eye of Ulysses Bloodstone. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but I thought that was funny. And I love that the punchline, the last thing where he's, frantically being nebbish and explaining oh, my hotel is a mess. And then drywall explosion.
That's funny. Great.
He paid off.
It is funny.
So the fight continues out in the hallway, and the guy's freaking out on Bloodstone. He's like, and furthermore, if you think I'm going to just stand, as Bloodstone just kind of stand there holding a bunch of dudes by their collars, unconscious. And then he just puts his giant meaty hand on this dude's shoulder. It's like, the lobby clerk. Just who I was looking for. That's not a term. That's an old-timey term,
lobby clerk. That's what Bloodstone said. So that's what that guy is.
Okay.
He said the thing.
That didn't ring a bell for me. But
no.
He's like, just the man I was looking for. He's like, you were? He's like, yes, it concerns my accommodations. I don't recall requesting titanium and reinforcements. Titanium? Or all these explosives? Explosives? So some moments later, he's like, that should calm him down. I told him we wouldn't sue. And Brad says, you're all heart. And then we get them this Silver Age Batman, Batman and Robin sprinting to the Batmobile kind of panel. And Brad says, if you could be a little less flamboyant, we might just once stay in the same place 2 nights in a row. And Ulysses says, think how dull that would be. And then we get a little joke from Brad, wouldn't you know it, after 10,000 years, he's developing a sense of humor.
They're quipping.
Yeah, just weird little moments like this. So funny.
Okay, I love that last panel, but I actually love the one right before it. It's such an interesting composition because you see Sam, then you see like through Sam's legs that are in silhouette,
Yeah.
you see Brad and then Ulysses, and then it's the composition on that panel is really fucking cool.
That's my favorite panel on the page, easily.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, next page, then they're in Harlem. It says somewhere in Harlem, one taxi trip later. Sam's like, oh, charming neighborhood. It's like, didn't they do this scene once in a James Bond movie? And their cabbie, they're like, here, keep the change.
What does that
She's
mean?
like, yeah, sure. What?
Is that Live and Let Die? I don't understand the reference.
I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know.
Like it felt like
Probably something racist.
they're
so.
referencing like the parade in like New Orleans and Live and Let Die. Which,
Yeah,
if that's
I
the
don't
case,
know.
like that's a tone deaf, a bunch of black people. So it's like,
Well, that's what I kind of assumed it was anyway. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just not going to think about that too much.
okay, sorry.
But even the cabbie is just like, yeah, anything you say, just give me the money and let me scram. So it's a rough neighborhood.
Yes.
They go in and yeah, Sam is still kind of saying the same thing. She's like, oh, what a quaint place. We'll blend right in. Says, all right, you two. Then, it's just a bar, smoke, and hooey. I think we're going to have some dessert diversion, my man. Take a look at Buana shuffling in the door. And so, yes, it's a Harlem bar.
Yeah.
And so they they're giving them the business, saying like, I'd be as crazy and jive drunk as you are, bro. Warner's not. Warner's dialogue is a little cringy in this bar.
Yeah.
And Sam's just like, I don't suppose you had a reason for coming here when you'd care to let us in on? And then Brad's like, don't worry. If Bloodstone doesn't, you can always ask this charming gentleman. This very imposing figure comes in. Yeah, what you want here? Brad's like, funny, we were just wondering the same thing. So I liked this turn.
I appreciated this weird needle scratch turn here.
I really like it. Once I figured out what was going on, I was like, oh, this is cool as shit.
Yeah. Once the reveal is complete, it's awesome. But like, just this weird, like, I mean, writing like them like arriving unexplainedly in Harlem, like a really rough part of Harlem. I love that turn. It was fun and it kept me engaged because I was not super checked in the first read through of this, honestly, at this point until this happened. So
yeah, and I love how it did wake me up too, and I love how it turned. At first I was just like, ooh, I don't know where this is going. I'm like, is this going to be like that Tim Heidecker scene in the comedy when he goes to the bar in Harlem? And I was like, oh God, what is happening here?
I hope he makes it out alive.
Yeah.
Not because of them, because of him.
Because of him.
Yeah, that movie. Goddamn. I love that movie. This kind of reminded me, remember when I was reading that story about the Scarecrow story from the buffet season, and they were telling the behind the scenes, like why that one artist didn't turn his work in, and they drove a cab like up to like Harlem and like tried to go find his apartment, and they're like, yeah, I'm not sticking around here, and the cabbie wouldn't stay. I swear to God, this must be an inside joke, like a reference to this.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope it is. That would be great.
Yeah. So yeah, the big imposing figure that approaches them and says, sorry man, no rods allowed in here, except the one Willie keeps behind the bar for troublesome client. Hey, turn around a little more. He realizes who he's talking to. It's Ulysses Bloodstone. He's like, Bloodstone, you damn out-jabbing son of a gun. Hey brothers, that really is you, man. I've been with Bloodstone 2 years now, Sam. I still don't get used to him, says Brad. So Brad's as confused as we are. But this big, huge dude, I mean, he looks like, what's the guy's name from Pulp Fiction? He looks like that, like build, that guy.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I love that he grabs Bloodstone and basically lifts him off the ground.
Yes, because he's like a foot taller than Ulysses Bloodstone, who was our hulking hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, he pushes a little secret button on a door panel and a wall opens up and we see more Kirby circuitry inside. He's like, how you been hanging, man? Haven't seen you since you opened this here little joint. So we're now inside some crazy ass James Bond futuristic technology thing hidden inside of a Harlem scary bar. Yep. And Ulysses says, Brad, Sam, this is William Brandon Montague III, Billy Brand, personal guardian of this mini base. Billy, this is Brad Carter and Samantha Eden. He's like, no shuck, Brad Carter? I thought he looked familiar. I caught a couple of his pictures on 42nd Street. So I love that joke at the end because if folks don't know, 42nd Street was, a huge theater in the early days of cinema, but it fell into disrepair as New York fell in hard times in the 60s. And so by the 70s, it was the place where you went to see grindhouse movies. So you would see kind of sleazy exploitation stuff. So that's just a joke from Warner. Like, yeah, the shit that he made with that director, it was pretty is B, if not C level crap. And this guy saw him. It's
a great joke
in the grindhouse theaters.
I know, so funny. Okay, the thing that I loved, aside from this man's name being William Brandon Montague III, Billy Brand, personal guardian of this mini base. It's a mini base, yeah. Matt.
Yeah, each page of this opened like a lotus blossom, and it's like, okay, Warner's doing something fun now. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, he's doing something super fun. And so, yeah, they're in this secret ass, hideout with all this tactical shit. Yeah, Bloodstone goes on. He says, this is Mini Base 6, one of several small tactical bases I've established at key points around the world, including one near Moscow. Like Sam says, impressive, all the comforts of an ICBM silo. If you weren't so blasted secretive, Tony Stark would be jealous. Like, I love what Bloodstone, he's like, I doubt it. If Iron Man is an example of Stark's technology, as a matter of fact, Stark built this Computron module. Those two words I love too. That's what I'm going to call any of my laptops now. They're a Computron module. He's like, it ties me in via a special trunk line to the main computer systems on Bloodstone Island. And strange, I'm not getting a signal confirmation. There must be something wrong with the line. It gives us a little flashback to the most exciting thing we saw last issue, which was just, Bloodstone Island just getting blowed the fuck up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then he goes on. He's like, well, we'll be all right without it for now. Billy, set up a close correlation scan on this module. This cartridge is a programming tape. There's so many analog machine words in like one sentence. It's amazing. This cartridge is a programming tape I picked up in the conspiracy suite. The computer will run through it and try to decipher the code. Then, Billy's just like, well, there you go, my man. But what the hell does it mean? It says Yesod is in C-A-N-C-E. So we'll know what the first word is. But yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff happening here, storytelling wise. Like, we didn't see Bloodstone pick up a programming tape in the conspiracy suite. Like, so I kind of like when a storyteller is like keeping their cards close to their vest and like revealing little things like this and dropping info. Like, I didn't show you everything, man. You know what I mean? It's like Hitchcock or whatever. It's like, that's cool storytelling. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Yesod is in, we're going to see what this is, but I just love that Billy Brand is like, he's on it. He knows all the tech stuff, despite his, running this Hell's Kitchen-y type of Harlem bar. He's got it. He's up on the wire. And trunk line.
Just because trunk line.
That's got to be like a giant bundle of cables, right? They go like underground through the water all the way
it's like a underwater, all the way to Bloodstone Island. It's a massive cables, like 2 feet thick.
Yeah, it's hardwired.
Yeah, trunk line. Oh, I fucking love it. Yeah, well, I mean, Billy knows a lot of stuff. He might not be up on his Kabbalah though.
Yeah. I did love that cutaway, that one single panel just showing like the Bloodstone Island, like current state, like it's just a smoldering pile of rubble after the last issue. That was cool. So the next page, Ulysses has a plan for everybody. He says, Samantha, that's what I want you to find out. Yesod should be a Kabbalistic reference, Cancer an astrological one, but they don't mean anything together. Research it from every angle and see if you can decode the other gibberish on here. So you're hired, apparently. There is no training day. Just start.
First
I love
assignment.
it. Yep. And then he wants Brad to take the sub skimmer we saw like 5 issues ago to the island and find out what the hell is going on to the main computer system. So Brad's going to find out that it's Bloodstone Island is no more. And he says, as for me, I've got to give a special address before the UN in 90 minutes. This is another part of that like thing that was just kind of seated in the background, but very obliquely alluded to. He says,
I was like, oh, fuck, that's right.
That's right. He's here for a reason. He says, Samantha, I asked you to become my press agent. I assume by your presence that you've accepted. Today, you will see why I can no longer afford to work in secret. And it's mentioned by Raj. Who is Raj? That's not Roger Stern, is it? He's not there yet.
I don't.
Is he an intern?
I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know. I was wondering that too.
So yeah, whoever Raj is says, yeah, that's way back in Rampaging Hulk number 4. They offer the job to her. He says, as of today, I'm going public within limits. And one of the things I'll have to get used to is not wearing my gun everywhere I go. And Billy's like, but you can't just walk around unharmed. Hardly, Billy. This special belt will provide all the protection I need. So he has a utility belt. So he takes his whatever fucking T-Rex gun off of his back, but he has a utility belt. And then we get another one of those super fun, like, again, it feels to me like throwback to like Silver Age of just like him like tromping down like this weird angle and like he's just sprinting towards the garage. And he says, Brad, Samantha, report back as soon as you can. Billy will be monitoring the radio phone. I'll report back as soon as I'm finished at the UN. Radio phone already feels old fashioned even in 1977, but I'm not sure if it was.
I'm assuming it was. I don't know. Yeah. It's a lot of the terminology. Serial. Yeah, I loved it. So yeah, next page, we just go straight to the fucking UN. So there's some, commentators, I'm assuming are news people. And there's like, who is this mysterious Ulysses Bloodstone? And they kind of go back through his thing. Oh yeah, strange monsters. And one of them, the woman says, yeah, thanks, Bob. 3 days ago, Ulysses Bloodstone circulated a press release announcing his speech to the UN. And though knowing literally nothing about the man, the excitement and response, wait, he's about to begin. So yeah, we cut to the UN.
Can I ask you a question? Is that supposed to look like Barbara Walters?
It definitely is supposed to be Barbara Walters. Okay.
And I love they mention the Bugle, by the way. Like, this weird guy,
true.
the Bugle says he's a menace.
The Bugle calls him a menace. They're like, oh, God, that's great. And then, Bloodstone's down there. He says, gentlemen, ladies, your special committee spent 6 months studying the file I provided them. The contents of that file prove my right to Bloodstone Island beyond a doubt. I've come here today to declare the sovereignty of Bloodstone Island, and I am looking to the United Nations to recognize that sovereignty and support it. And we see all these members of the UN stand up, and they look incredulous with their little translatory headphones on. And, and outside, we see someone watching the television that's broadcasting that. It's a familiar face who thinks, interesting, this could change everything.
Is it though? I mean, like I read that and was like, oh, that's Domino. But then I'm like, what? How many bowler hat mysterious men have we been introduced to in the last like 3 installments? Like that's
but there's a few actually. So you're right. I'm assuming it's Domino, but you're right. Maybe it isn't.
Because what about Explodo from last time? Like it could be Explodo.
Oh, that's right.
Or Jocko.
Explodo. He's going Smoko.
So I do have to mention that I was stoked when I read this because I was like, didn't I say like 3 shadow shows ago, like he could be at the UN, like Bloodstone Island is like its own nation. Like were we talking about this?
You did call it. Yeah.
I called it. I felt pretty good about that.
You should.
Okay. So then we get an amazing splash. So speaking of changing everything, at that moment outside the UN Plaza, and a giant beast rises up out of the river. I think it's the East River on the UN. He's like, Sharzan lives! And he looks like Tim Curry from Legend or something like that. He's horrifying. Huge wings and these multiple layers of horns. And, of course, he's got trousers on. He's not, he's not immodest. He says, mine is the power elemental, and with it I shall destroy all enemies. I shall destroy Bloodstone. He rises out of the East River, 40 feet of flesh, whose stench is even greater than that of the legendary waterway. The air fairly hums with power. Such a great page.
So it's a great page. And if it wasn't this level of great art, because in the back of my mind, I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is awesome. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, another kaiju?
Yeah.
Like, are we just going back? Now it's Sharzan.
Yeah.
But he looks super badass, so I'll forgive it for a page or two.
He looks amazing, but I definitely had that same thing where it's like Marvel Presents #1. Like, oh, so
Like,
really? He just fights Godzilla's? Like, he's got so much more potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it also, I would have this blacklight poster if it had some color in it, so I'm drinking to that.
Drink to that.
The washes
So,
throughout this art, by the way.
I know, the washes.
God
It's
damn.
really good. Like, the art is really beautiful on this. The pairing of Kupperberg and Trinidad, it's a really good pairing.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. I mean, I think they have, if they don't have a model sheet, they're at least looking back and seeing what Rudy has done. And yeah, they're using that and even building on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, next page says, inside the assembly chamber, Bloodstone and his rapt audience know nothing of the disturbance outside. They'll learn soon enough. And then what is this? So it's like an ice shaft. Outrun. So an ice shaft comes towards Bloodstone, becoming a tidal wave. Shoosh. So he's down there, and then he's outside now and sees Sharzan. It's just like, don't tell me the conspiracy sent you, and I'm probably expected to die, right, so far? He leaps up. We get a nice ass shot there of Bloodstone. He says, unfortunately, the conspiracy failed to inform you how rude I am, and I have a bad habit of not letting them win. I really wish that his position when he said how rude I am is when he was shooting himself like crotch first into stuff. Like, I would have loved that. That would have made me really happy. But no, he's propelled himself up. He has both feet just smashes into to Sharzan's face with a thud.
I love that he uses Sharzan's like thumb as like an uneven parallel bar to get himself up in the air to attack him. That's so funny.
It's awesome.
Oh man. Yeah, so back to big loud action again. So Sharzan says, "Fool, you can't defeat Sharzan by kicking him." And as Ulysses is landing on the side of the river on the walkway, Esplanade, he's like, "Oh, well, in that case, I'm glad you told me." And he grabs something off his belt and he pulls out this panel and he says, "You may find this much more to your liking." Shush, shush, shush. And all these little missile things shoot out of this panel that was on his belt, apparently, that we didn't see.
Sure.
It says, surging liquid waves of white fire flash into the behemoth's skull from the wires embedded in his hide. And so, much like before, we see in Gorham, we see these projectiles going in like taser. It's like tasers, right? Going. And he says, "This is another version of the power glove I use on Gorham. It seems to be very effective on these big beasties." Back in RH #3, the roguish one. And we get an arrow pointing us, our eyes, where to go, reading the page. That's always kind of an irksome thing for me. He says, "Huh? Now what?" He just motioned, and water began rising out of the sidewalk. So, Sharzan is like gesturing with his claws, and all of a sudden, like water starts moving on its own accord. And then he's turned ice into water to make a tidal wave, and now he's manipulating the water, and now there's lightning, and we see in the last panel, Ulysses is getting electrocuted by Sharzan. So he's used the water and the charge that is electrocuting him from Ulysses' utility belt tool to also electrocute Ulysses, add him into the circuit, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not quite clear.
It's not super clear.
This is where it gets kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, same.
And Bloodstone says, where's that ice? That's where the ice came from. Sharzan controls the elements. He used the water as a conductor to zap me. And then we're introduced to Ralph and Alice. Who say, "Hey, Ralph, look at that. Wow, Alice, that's really something. Maybe they're making a movie, huh?" Like, yeah, sure, that must be it. Hey, it's even better than the World's Fair. So we have some bystanders who are named. Cool.
This also feels like a Silver Age throwback to me. Like the
It's a Silver Age throwback, or this is people that work at Marvel.
Oh, it does look very specific, doesn't it? I bet it's a reference. I bet
It
it's
looks
an
very.
in-joke.
It's an in joke, is what I thought it was.
Okay.
It says, and yeah, Bloodstone is thinking like, the crowd's getting too close. If I don't end this fast, someone's going to get hurt. And so, he shoots more stuff out from these little these little like squares he's pulling from his utility belt. One of them shoots gas out. Sharzan's like, "What is this gas? What is mere vapor to an elemental?" Bloodstone says, "Well, for one thing, it's my own special brand, and for another, there's an awful lot of it." And yeah, this thing just produces an incredible amount of gas that just envelops Sharzan. Bloodstone says, "And finally, you're going to find oxygen pretty scarce in a moment."
So yeah, we kind of just got caught up in the momentum of the story, but I forgot to mention, like, I love that Warner did this thing back with Billy Brand in the bar, which I think is an homage to the Shadow. Like that, he has agents and he has all these safe houses. Cool reference to like pulp heroes, because he is ultimately a Doc Savage type of character, but he's immortal.
He's basically an immortal Doc Savage.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. So I was super, like, like I said, I was kind of sleep reading this until that Harlem scene happened. I was like, yes, okay, something cool, little Golden Age pulp kind of reference, and then now we're here. We're back to Marvel Preview number 1, essentially. Marvel Presents. So that's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer.
And it is also a bummer that he said, like, well, I have my utility belt. He didn't use those words, but that's what he's saying. And now he just has, like,
that's what it is.
Girdle that has a bunch of missiles in it that have all different, like, it just feels very juvenile. So it went from, like, Shadow reference, Doc Savage, all this cool stuff to just, like, bang, bang, bloom, punch, punch, like Metamorpho. Like, now I'm turning into this. Now I'm turning into that. Now I have this. Now I have that. Like, it just feels super infantile to me.
Yeah, but even a smart, like, little kid would just be like, wait, what is he pulling out of his belt? Like, I need a little more clarity here. It's just a square that shoots whatever he wants to out.
Yeah, and it's a square the size of a girdle, and he had it on in his belt. Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Yep. Nope, makes no sense.
So yeah, on the next page we see the gas like encircling Sharzan. He's like, "Bah! I'm a master of the winds. Can you deplete this whole planet of oxygen?" says Ulysses. And then, but he's thinking to himself, he's got me at every turn. He was prepared for me. This cartridge is my last hope. Yeah, fuck it, dude. I mean, just endless cartridges. It may not work, but I've got to try. So he pulls it out, and it says "rung" with a W. And it seems to be binding Sharzan up and like tying him up. And it says, the substance forming the cocoon around him won't cut off his powers, but his elemental might should prove equally ineffective against it. He'll be trapped. And sure enough, on the bottom row, we see him kind of cocooned up in this material from this utility belt cartridge. And Sharzan says, "Can't break free. Nothing works. But my powers can still crush you, human, as Sharzan will crush all his masters." And he reaches out, and his hands look amazing as, like, Ulysses is running towards us, and it says "crunk." And then the last panel is his fist closing around Ulysses. Whoosh, clump. That kind of salvaged this really weak, silly scene for me.
Honestly, those last two panels.
Yeah.
Those last two panels make it like, oh, okay, here we got something here. This is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, this feels to me like it's referencing every time somebody talks about what they don't like about the Silver Age. Like, the people that seem to really love the Silver Age are like Grant Morrison, who's like, "No, take a bunch of mushrooms and read it. It's really weird." Like, okay, yeah, cool, but like, it sucks. Like, it doesn't get good until, Adams and, O'Neill come and like get it dark again, like make it a crime book, and he's a detective again. This is like representative of like all the stuff I don't like about Batman in like 1965.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you said that. I went back recently and I love Grant Morrison's run on Batman. I really do. I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
And did you ever get the Black Case book?
Oh yes,
That was
love
the
it.
thing. Oh, I fucking love the Black Case book. See, when it's in context like that, when you have Grant Morrison being like, okay, read these. These are batshit.
Yeah.
Like, these are crazy. Take psychedelics and read these.
Yeah.
And I love those.
Yeah.
I just went back recently and reread some of those.
Oh yeah, like
They're great.
Zur-En-Arrh, like just pulling this crazy stuff for like Batman R.I.P. Like I dig that, man. I like that. Like, make it make
I
sense,
love
right?
it.
That's the mission statement. And I love it. Like have fun with it. Like work it in, make it a fever dream, make it whatever. Like, but make it make sense. Don't just ignore it. I love Grant Morrison for that.
Oh God! No, the more that I've read it a bunch over the years. I remember when it was coming out, I was really interested in it. Wasn't until like later on when I got all the collecteds that I was able to see everything, and that just grows in my estimation as time goes on. Like Grant Morrison's run on Batman is so important and so cool and so fun.
Oh yeah,
and just does so much. I just love that it's almost like his mission statement was just like, I'm going to make this part of Batman make sense.
Yep.
He's
I
like, I'm
fucking
going to
love
take this and I'm going to make everything make sense and make it as cool as shit.
Yeah, in
So
my
he takes all
opinion,
the Dick Sprang, like,
Yep.
yeah.
21st century Batman
Awesome.
is Morrison and Snyder, and those are the only ones I really acknowledge that
Oh, they're
have
great.
any impact for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, next page, we're back to Alice. And what's her maid's name?
Alice.
Alice, yeah. That guy's really done for, huh, Alice? If this were real, I mean. This can't be real, huh, Alice? Alice! So, I mean, maybe they're high. That would be funny. It's like, is this real, man?
Are their names? See, why I didn't think it was a Marvel staff joke was because like their names are honeymooners references, aren't they?
It's Ralph and Alice, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a honeymooners joke, or maybe it's Marvel references. I don't know. Honeymooners joke is a weird land for this.
Yeah.
Like, that it doesn't make any sense, but that's cool.
But weren't the honeymooners like perpetually in reruns, like in early TV days? Like, even,
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah,
I mean-
I mean, they were always on air, but still kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, Bloodstone's like, yeah, it's taking all my energies. The rock alone would be no problem, but the force binding the rock is almost more than I can handle. Almost. And then wham, he breaks free of it. And he's like, mind reeling, doesn't make sense. As if in the back of my mind. He collapses, and that says, suddenly Bloodstone blacks out, an eerie glow washes over him, and the cocoon Sharzan, then they fade. Yeah, kind of a dumb page.
Yeah,
Not gonna
pretty
lie.
dumb page. And sorry, the force binding the rock is almost yeah. All right,
I know.
so his fluctuating power set is always amusing to me, but they have faded out, bloop, and we go to the last page, only to reappear elsewhere. And we wake up and we are in a underground cavern. We have actually been here before, folks. We've seen this place. I was so excited when I saw this. We see a throne. It's a throne room in the depths of the world, and we see a guy we know from the Golem. Welcome, Ulysses Bloodstone, to the Cavern of Kabbalah, Master of the Ages. I welcome you on behalf of the conspiracy. Ulysses says, the conspiracy? I'll tell you what you can do with. And then Kabbalah says, you'll tell me nothing, rash one. You are here to serve, and so you shall. I have gamed with you long enough. Disobedience will mean death.
Oh, boy.
Bloodstone's bizarre fate will unfold in the Rampaging Hulk number 8, which is his last appearance as a living character. Meantime, next issue for your viewing enjoyment, we present a surprise treat. Misspelled surprise, like the lettering on this issue is all over the place. The Return of the Macabre Man-Thing by Steve Gerber and Jim Starlin. What was your reaction? I mean, I knew that, I told you Kabbalah. I accidentally saw that Kabbalah is the big bad of this story. So I had to tell you so we were on the same page because we're partners. But what was your reaction?
I mean, again, anything that can shake me out of my slumber of reading Bloodstone is exciting. So yeah, Kabbalah. Never thought I'd see that guy again. That's for sure. So this was exciting. and dumb, but exciting because it's dumb.
And I swear when we were like reading the Golem stories, like that we looked up this character and I swear we didn't see that he ever did anything else. So when
I don't
that's
think
why I
we-
was like
I know.
blown away by this. Like, wait, what? I swear I did like a Marvel Universe app like search on this guy and this didn't come up, but I must have just missed it.
Yeah, me too.
But, I don't mean to challenge you on the air here, but do you remember what his motivation was in the Golem? Did he want to control the Golem? Was that in that story? Was that like some key to him conquering things? I'm trying to remember what his motivation was for wanting to control
I
it.
have no clue. I have no memory
Well,
of his motivation.
Yeah.
I don't think we were looking for a lot of motivation. I don't know, but looking back, the Golem was kind of cool.
Well, we love that art, right? Was that Trinidad who went kind of a little psychedelic there in like the last installment or two, and it wasn't Sunny. Who was that?
I don't think it was Sunny. It was shit. Yeah, I can't remember. The buffet kind of, it kind of mixes in with itself a little bit. That was the problem. I mean, there was no problem. I love doing it, but that's what happens when you deal with like 6 storylines in a season.
Yeah. So I was excited to see this guy back. I thought he was a goofy, cool action figure kind of villain. And, we're bleeding into final thoughts, so let's just start. But like, obviously I'm frustrated with this. Fits and starts again, like just, the comedy that's sprinkled throughout as comic relief is okay, I guess. But like, sometimes it kind of undercuts the grandiosity of what Warner claimed was his vision for this storyline, which was this cosmic, huge, epic, grandiose story. So I was cool. I was happy that we saw Cabal here. Like, okay, they actually did something. Like he had, I don't know, it's tied into something which wasn't necessary for it to be good, but like, I just felt grounded. Like the bar in Harlem and then this happening, I was like, okay, I enjoyed this chapter.
Yeah.
It's a little fluffy though. What'd you think?
It's pretty fluffy. I mean, all I could cheer by the end of this is just looking back and just being like, mini base. Like, I want to know the other 5. There's 6 of them. I want the other 5. There was one in Moscow. That's right. There's one in Hell's Kitchen.
There's one below Scotland. There's one below Antarctica. Oh, that's Shoggoths.
That's Shoggoths, which will seep into anything. Yeah, no, I don't know. You're right. Like the middle, when they go to Harlem, when you realize that all that cool Shadow, all that cool Doc Savage shit, when he leans into that, I mean, I don't know. I don't even think you need to get the kind of references to see that it's cool. Like that's cool. Yeah. Fighting kaiju isn't fucking cool. It's boring, and he's done it multiple times, and it's just been. This book has been frustrating. It's been very frustrating.
Well, I think we're both having the same issue that we had with It the Living Colossus, where it's like somebody really loves the early 60s Atlas Marvel books, and we don't know what place it has in the post-Nixon, post-Watergate Marvel publishing world, especially a magazine that doesn't have like the same oversight that comics, 4-color comic books did. So it's just kind of like, what story are you trying to tell? Is it a nostalgia thing? Like, if you want to go back and reference to Shadow and Doc Savage, that's cool if you want to do it in an adulty kind of magazine way. But then you're also having somebody punch somebody out in the East River and just do magic tricks, like just ice, gas, cocoon of energy. Like, it just feels so inconsistent that it's frustrating ultimately.
I know. I just feel like, and we've talked about this before, I know the Curtis magazines weren't the sleaziest of the black and white magazines by any means, but I'm just like, a little bit of sleaze would have gone a long way in this.
Yep.
You know, I'm not saying that Samantha Eden and Clary Winter should show us what kind of movies they're making, but it would have helped a little bit.
I could have taken a little sex sprinkled in like Brad and Samantha hooking up, or Ulysses and Samantha hooking up, just for a little bit of
Something.
cheesecake, just a little bit of tasteful cheesecake.
Just a little bit, but there's
And just
nothing.
yeah,
There's nothing about this that couldn't just have a comics code stamped on it.
yep.
And why the fuck would you do that in a black and white magazine? Why?
I don't know. And all of it could have skewed darker. Like when he meditated and went to the astral plane, like that stuff was like, that's what this book should be. And the fact that it's not is a bummer. So
it is a bummer. It's frustrating.
So like just bringing in Kabbalah, just even that, Yesod is Kabbalistic and Cancer is obviously Cancer, tropic, but just like this kind of like sprinkling in like the knowledge of the ancients, like oh cool, something's happening, and then pow, boom, plow, splat.
I know.
So
bizarre.
I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping for a little more out of this, so I'm excited to see how it ends. I'm glad a big bad came in. It's a big bad we know from the last season. That's been a huge treat for me. That's like the cherry on top of this middling Sunday. So I'm stoked that Kabbalah is the big bad. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Ending. I'm stoked the art has been good throughout, so I can't complain about that. But I'm glad it's over.
Great.
I feel
I'm glad it's over too.
This could have been revisited by a modern writer. We always shout out Jed McKay or someone, but like this could have been so much more.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just kind of surfing, just kind of scooting along. I feel like he had some beats and some ideas, and he didn't know how many issues he had and how many installments, how many chances he had to tell that story. And so there's a lot of filler, a lot of goofy stuff, and a lot of like something for everyone. Are you 12? Are you 15? Yeah. Are you 25 and you're in the service? Like, hey, something for you in every issue, all three of you. And it's not working.
See, that's what makes me think that he didn't have a giant world of lore to draw through. Because if he's trying to like, oh shit, I have to compress this into this many things, there wouldn't be this much fluff. There's so much fucking fluff. Like if he was trying to compress this giant epic that he was trying to tell, there wouldn't be goddamn kaiju fights for half of these issues.
No.
Like it's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. And again, like I have no problem with kitty stuff. Like that's fun. If it's going to be in, a Marvel 4-color comic, like great, that's fun. I get it. I just get it's a little more infuriating when it's in a black and white magazine, because you and I have read a lot of black and white magazines. Even the Curtis magazines have a little bit more, zazz than absolutely more sophistication, a little bit more adult fare. And this has just been devolving into bang pow, and it's weird. Well, I'm glad we're going to be done with it soon.
Yeah, so I think my final thought on it would be when he said in that letter at the end of Marvel Presents #2 that he had this big thing, and I've read stuff online, people talking about whatever the scope of the story. I think the thing he was talking about was the lore that we got in Rampaging Hulk #4 when he meditated. I think
the Exomind shit. That's the lore.
The Exomind is the thing. I don't think he had a scope. I don't think there's a dramatic scope. I think he had lore and backstory that was interesting. And I think he conflated the two when he was talking about them in the letter. So he was saying, I had a big story planned out. I don't think you did. I think you had a cool backstory that you don't reference nearly enough. And you were just kind of floating on the tides and maybe writing each installment on what you thought the editors wanted you to turn in that week or that month or that bi-monthly.
That's I think I totally agree with that. I don't think he's telling the story he wants to tell. He's telling the story that he thinks he's supposed to tell.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing that from a bunch of different ways. He's like, oh, my editors want me to do this. Oh, no. The audience needs me to do this. He's not staying true to his own storytelling. He's just trying to people please in a very chaotic way. And I think that's what happens and that's what we get.
Yep. So, okay. So they have a Man-Thing story next. We might do a real quick, again, timer-based review. Read it and talk about it in like 10 minutes. Limit ourselves so we don't do a thing. But something for our supporters, and then we'll be back on the next one for the finality of the Bloodstone Saga. It's crazy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we'll be back here in a second for Matt's Musings. Okay, so Matt's Musings is going to largely be kind of an Andy Rooney-esque, me encountering the world. But I did go to a show last night. I went to see the Swirlies, one of the bands I love from the 90s, kind of a shoegazy noise rock band. Bought some vinyl. They pressed 300 of something that's never been released on vinyl before. Bought it, and I came home, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't sign it. And then I remembered, like, oh, you know what? I should talk to Jacob about this. So I told our friend Ben this before, but I always think when I'm getting vinyl signed by a band at a show that, normally they say, what's your name? And they say, to Jacob, cheers, whatever. You get signed, it's personalized, whatever, it's special. But yeah. I've always wanted this joke that I've never quite done. I did mention it. I love this band from Scotland called the Trash Can Sinatras. And I saw one of the rhythm guitarists and main songwriters. He just came to the Mission Theater in Portland and played a solo thing. And I bought his solo album. And I actually mentioned this to him. So here's my gag that I want to do when I have stuff signed is when they say, so who do I make this out to? You say, to Matt, my best friend, who I was with all day on October 12th of 2017 in Portland, Oregon. And so you have like all these things that seem like alibis. Every band that you sign is like a different date, a different location, and saying I was definitely with him until 10 p.m. on June 12th.
That's a great joke. It's really great.
But I haven't had the balls. I did tell John Douglas from the Trash Cans. I was like, can you make it out to Matt Howell and say who I was definitely with on blah, blah, blah. I did the thing. And he's like, that was a long time ago. Do you need an alibi for this date? I did like 1998 or something like that. He's like, that's too old.
Yeah. You were like,
he already saw it. He got the joke immediately. It was like, it's too late. You should have made it a sooner date. But that's something I want to start doing is having, Malcolmus, Doug March, whoever, like all my people I love, like sign a thing and have it be a fake alibi where it's like you're making them uncomfortable and making them like commit legally to like a fake document saying this guy was with me at this time when he weren't, but also just having your record collection be personalized and a running joke that is just a bunch of fake alibis.
I think that's awesome. Number one, I would think that they would appreciate anything that's not like, make it out to eBay.
Yeah. eBay winner.
Like, yeah, eBay winner. Yeah. No, anything that's not that, I'm sure they would love. But also, I mean, that's a funny story. I would love to see who would just be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do your album.
Yeah.
No, it's a great gag. Yeah. I wholly endorse this.
So I'm bummed I didn't do it last night because, I did mention it to John, like I said, like a month ago, and he was just kind of like, the date's wrong. Like you got to do better.
It's a good note.
So he did sign it. I'm putting a picture up here of what he did sign. But he was like, you do better, basically. And then I love the Swirlies, and I was pissed at myself, like, oh my god, I didn't ask Damon to sign this with the joke. I'm not starting the joke. I'm not doing very well. So,
well, next time.
So hopefully there'll be an update on the Shadow Show in the future. The next time I buy vinyl from a band that will say, I was with Matt Howell on July 12th, 2022 until 8 p.m. and we were not behind the Safeway at any point in time.
Yeah. We were not dismembering bodies at the dump.
Yeah. The Laws. Signed, The Laws.
Yeah. Signed, The Laws. That's great. That's great. I love it. All
right. So, yeah. More musings will be more like what's the deal with, but yeah, I just wanted to
that wasn't Andy Rooney at all. That was a solid joke.
Well, I just want to share that with you because I've been bummed at myself for not doing it, so figure if I put it out there, I'd remember next time I got something signed. It was stinging after last night. So,
No, I can see that.
yeah, I was disappointed in myself. All right, so let's move on to movie.
Yeah, so like we said at the beginning, we're going to talk about 1957's The Vampire. It's directed by Paul Landris, and it stars John Beale, Colleen Gray, and Kenneth Tobey. So you know some of these actors, correct?
Oh, yeah.
You know Dabbs Greer, who plays Dr. Will Bone.
Yeah, Dabbs Greer, I recognize from plenty of stuff, but I think people our generation mostly know him as Reverend Alden from Little House on the Prairie. So once I recognized him, I was like, who is that? Who's that guy? I know him. I know that guy. Where do I know that guy from? I know him. And I Googled him. I was like, Reverend Alden.
Yeah.
A little distracting.
No, I get it.
But
so
the sheriff,
I mean, this is...
The Sheriff Kenneth Tobey was in The Thing from Another World. So I think he's probably the most famous person in here, wouldn't you say?
I think definitely he's the most famous person in here.
Or to horror fans, anyway.
Yeah.
Although I did know Colleen Gray from a lot of film noir stuff. Like I immediately recognized her.
She's great.
She's awesome. And she's a button.
Like, she's super cute. And so it's basically just about a doctor who... there's this other doctor who's been experimenting on, like, I don't know what you would call it, to like regress. Is it to regress the mind to primitive instincts for some reason? Like,
yeah, I never understand the motivation. Like beyond the explanation, like, and why? Like I feel like that's never asked by the screenwriter.
I don't think he's quite ever asked, but he makes these. He has these experimental pills that are made like from the blood of a vampire bat, and so there's a small town doctor named Paul Beecher, and he right. Mm-hmm. No, that's not. Who's it's Paul. Yeah, Campbell's John the guy who's been experimenting. Paul Beecher. Yeah, it's John Beale, who's the main protagonist who we see. And he's a small town doctor. He lives with this very sweet little daughter who, is played by Lydia Reed as Betsy Beecher. And she's great. Yeah, the daughter's really great. Like, she's great enough to where it makes it heartbreaking.
Yeah, she holds...
At the different points...
Yeah,
she really does. Like she does a great job, and so like as
the emotional core of the film, for sure, she's solid.
She's really solid, and she makes this movie really emotionally affecting. So small town doctor. He goes to kind of like talk to the guy who's doing the experiments. Pill mix up, and what he thinks is his migraine pills are actually these vampire bat pills.
That his daughter actually mixes up, which is the tragedy.
His daughter I know, that is the tragedy. His daughter mixes them up because he's like, could you maybe mix up the bottle? She's like, I don't know. And she's like, I probably did. I'm really sorry. And so, that
was heartbreaking. Which is like, Daddy, I did not. Dad didn't, Dad. And then she comes in like 5 minutes later, like, I think I did, Dad. Like,
I think I did. And then later, there's these murders that happen, people with, two marks on their necks. And, we realize that it's him. And so this is a non-traditional vampire movie. I would, it's safe to say. Yeah.
So like, on Wikipedia, it says like 1956 is The Werewolf. It offered a science fiction take, which you turned me on to back when we were first started doing, might have even been pre-bonus show. I think you just watched the science werewolf thing and told me about it, and I watched that.
I don't
think we did
that
it
was
on
awesome.
I don't think we did it on the bonus show. I think that predates it. But
really? Wow.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a bit on there, but we didn't officially review it. So I love this, like, this idea of like the gothic horrors by the mid 50s being kind of cliche because we dropped atomic bombs. Like no one gives a shit about these creaky old European myths because we have true horrors nowadays. We bomb people. We can tear apart the fabric of the universe. So you have to update these monsters to kind of make them scary and modern in the same sense. So you have the werewolf and you have this one, the vampire. Like, I love that they're kind of like these core like baseline reboots. You don't need the blank of the vampire or the something of the werewolf. Like it's
the vampire.
It's ground zero. Like these are science. So this is basically Morbius, right? I mean, it's like,
yeah, for sure.
instead of curing himself, he accidentally afflicts himself with this disease. Who made Morbius? Do you remember? Is that Conway? Or is that pre-Conway?
I think it's Conway. I thought it was Conway.
I mean, obviously, Roy Thomas co-created everything.
Yes, he did. Yes, don't get mixed up on that one.
But yeah, it reminded me very much of like I wondered if whoever created Morbius like saw this film. So I have to look it up right now.
Pardon me.
Roy Thomas and Gil Kane.
So okay. That's Roy Thomas. All
so
right, there you go.
I would not be surprised if Roy Thomas saw this film, and Stan said, "We need a science vampire," and he's like, "Oh, I saw this movie when I was a kid."
Remember that movie?
Take this.
That movie that inspired Werewolf by Night. I remember that.
So same batch of same era, right? 50 late second half of the 50s.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of this thing? Like I liked when he turned, which took, by the way, 50 minutes. I think we don't see him physically change on screen. It's an hour and 16 minutes, and he didn't turn on screen until like 50 minutes in. So my main gripe about it would be it took a little long to get there. Good performances by the cast, solidly produced, solid little B picture, but it took a while to get there. But when he changed, all I could think was like he looks like the love child of Lon Chaney Jr. and Nick Cave. Like it's just kind of like,
okay, yeah, I could see that.
It's almost like,
yeah, totally.
It's almost like Lon Chaney was cast to play the guy, and like, Lon, you're too drunk, so we're gonna have to recast you, but we're gonna use the footage of you as the monster and just recast you for your human self. Because you looked,
which would make sense.
Hungover. It's like Nick Nolte.
Yeah, no, that was funny. And you're right. The transformation, or at least seeing what he turns into, is 15 minutes into the movie. But it is a solid B picture. I think the performances really elevate it. I think the women in this are excellent.
Yeah,
like they're just great actors. The little girl who plays Betsy is amazing. Like, yeah, I liked it. And the sheriff is great. Kenneth Tobey's really good in this.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I like, he's a great sheriff. He's kind of, I like in the beginning, it kind of made me laugh when Paul's just like, oh, you wouldn't like my new secretary. She's like fat and ugly. Like you wouldn't like her. Because he's trying to keep the sheriff from moving in on his nurse. So, yeah. So, but no, Kenneth Tobey was very, he was very, very charming. He was a good sheriff. The dynamic between all the actors, I thought it was really good. It's a really solid B picture.
Yeah. It was fun to watch. I wish I'd watched it with you guys. I was otherwise occupied that night, so you guys did that one without me, but caught up on my own. And I mean, what do you think, clause-wise?
It's claw up for me.
Yeah. Not like the highest claw up, but I think like we've been saying, it's just the production value was solid. Performances are good. Across the board, it's just like you can do a lot worse with a B monster movie from the 50s. So I liked it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, you could do a lot worse. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I was glad Mark suggested that one.
Yeah. Good work, Mark. Like that was like AI level, like honing in on like just exactly like what the perfect Velcro pick would be. Science vampire. Yeah. Like I'd never seen this before. I hadn't either. I'd never heard of it. So yeah, Mark did a great job. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. So yeah, I think our last pairing of the season will be we did a die roll last episode, and Jacob rolled between a Shreve and a Griffith, and we picked a Griffith, and so we're watching a Mark Polonia film. And if you saw the last episode, you know this, but the Polonia brothers were very enthusiastic filmmakers. Is that a way to describe someone? They worked with zero budgets, and they were very enthusiastic and passionate about making monster movies. Not good movies.
Cool.
So
all right,
they were twin brothers who made movies through the 90s and had a couple little minor VHS kind of hits. One was just based on the fact that people thought they were renting Independence Day, but they rented a film called Feeders on accident in 1996. and they kind of put them on the map. But yeah, they always had low budgets, and they're not great. So this movie, Bride of the Werewolf, we're watching is from 2019. One of the two twins had passed away at this point, so it's just Mark Polonia, not the Polonia brothers. And I tried to preview this for the bonus show way back in the day when we were doing the werewolf stuff, and I got about 10 minutes in, and was like,
You said nope.
Can do. So, however, the Discord dynamic of watching along together and razzing stuff has definitely changed my threshold for bad movies. So, watching a movie where someone's wearing a Spirit Store werewolf mask and having that be a legitimate costume choice seems funnier when you're doing it with friends. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I can do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to that. And do we need to make the appeal that we always make of if you are supporting the show and you're watching this and you're not watching along with us, we'd love to have you there, but obviously you do you.
Yes. I mean, we always want to do that. We haven't gotten a whole lot of new people, but I get it. It's kind of, it's weird to jump in. But yeah, if you're a supporter of the show, like, we already know you. We say your name. We know who you are. Like, we are all very friendly folk.
Yeah.
So come on in. It's a blast.
Indeed.
So yeah, I mean, I guess tune in next Shadow Show, and we'll do Bride of the Werewolf, which I'm excited for. So we'll be watching that in the next watch along. And so with our schedule, like, is that the last bonus show
Of the season?
Yeah,
I believe so.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so yeah, next bonus show, we're going to be closing out the Bloodstone Saga and giving you our thoughts on Bride of the Werewolf.
Yep. I'm excited for season 7 because I love that we're jumping genres, so we can watch like a 70s cop movie and then a monster movie, and then I love that there's all the different genre stuff going on. So that'll be fun.
It's a lot bigger playing field, so I'm excited that we'll have that to deal with too. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah,
and I think that we've not directly said it as much, but this season has been parallel stories of it's kind of tough when you hitch your horse to a wagon that's or your wagon to a horse that's maybe not the best horse. So you're kind of well, we're in it. I mean, we committed to this story, so we're doing it. So I'm excited about the Atlas stuff being every week is a completely different. It's like the buffet, but even more so.
It is going to be like the buffet. Yeah, it's a bigger buffet. We love doing that. So this will be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, more creators, different genres. I think it's a great way to go up. So stoked for that.
Agreed. Okay, well, we'll see you next Shadow Show. But until then, hail Satan.
Hail Satan.